With that being said, I'm gonna begin, and we have Enrico. Shout out to Enrico here. He's really the person who got me on the crypto. He's logged in Venice Beach
What's
right now.
happening?
My brother, So Enrico, he's gonna be fact checking me if I'm off a little bit. I'm still learning myself. Enrico, he's gonna, he'll jump in, he'll correct me, and then towards the end we'll do a fireside chat with Enrico. We'll just have a conversation about crypto. You guys can join in. I asked Enrico some questions, and you guys could ask Enrico some questions that you might have, because I mean he's really like a leader in the space, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin. So this is the topics for today. If you have a notepad, you could bring out your notepad. Don't forget this is recorded too, so you'll have access to this. First, we're going to talk about what is decentralization. Okay. Then we're going to talk about what exactly crypto is, and we'll talk about what is blockchain technology. Then we'll do a nice steady walkthrough with setting up your crypto exchanges, setting up your MetaMask, and we'll discuss a little bit of securing your crypto to make sure that you're safe. Then we'll do the fireside chat. The reason you want to know about these things is because these are basic vocabulary, basic common terminology used in the crypto space, and they're tossed around, but the average person might not know what these things are. To make this class easier, I'll reiterate a lot. I'll repeat a lot. So I have video. If you're a visual learner, auditory learner, that you'll hear and you'll see, and I have like just some script and text on the screen. All right, so let's talk about what is decentralization. I could define decentralization as, like, let's just, to keep it basic, three things, right? Let's keep it narrowed down to three. Number one, it's no single point of power, failure, or authority. That means that there's no single entity controlling what this thing is, what crypto is. It's no single, it's not a president, it's not a CEO. Let's say, for example, for a company, you have a president of a company. If he wants to make a decision, he can just make a decision. Or take the president of the United States. If the president of the United States wants to write an emergency legislation, they can do that. They can just pass it through, right? Even though we have the House, we have these other things, that's all centralized controls. Crypto does not have, it's decentralized, meaning that it's not a single entity that controls crypto, that controls tokens, that controls the networks. And let me know if I'm going too fast. An example of this would be the GameStop fiasco that happened last year during the pandemic. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but it made the news that GameStop's stock went crazy. There was a group called Wall Street Bets, and they all said, hey, let's get together. We the people, let's get together. Let's dive into GameStop and let's run the price up. In doing that, regular people, you and I, and if they knew about it, if we knew about it, people jumped in. The stock went crazy. It went from like $3 all the way to, I think, 300 or something like that, maybe even more. I think it reached up to like 500. So let's say if you had $1,000 in that stock, your life instantly changed within a week. It went from maybe like 1,000 to 300,000, close to a million. People made millions. What ended up happening was, when the main exchange, and I'm just going to refer specifically to Robinhood, the CEO said, wait a second, we can't control this. We're not used to this. Let's shut it down. Stop. So they did a stop. They halted all trading. People could not withdraw their money. So imagine you hop in this opportunity and the price goes up. You're literally looking at $1 million on your screen or $300,000 on your screen, and you can't get it. And that's because the CEO made a call to shut down Robinhood, to just shut down and halt trading. That's what something centralized is. right? The fact he can make a call, he can say stop. Crypto is not in its essence. Crypto is decentralized. I'll keep repeating that so you can understand, meaning that it's not a single entity that controls crypto. So I have this quick clip from Earn Your Leisure. It's about 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And this is the CEO of Robinhood. He's going to kind of explain what happened, and so you can get a more in-depth knowledge of basically his decision making.
Didn't want to target people that were more experienced or older. It's just that as we thought about it, we thought that there were people that were underserved, and it was people with less money and people that didn't already have a brokerage account, and also juxtapose that with like people who are mobile savvy, and they were mobile savvy and were likely to be early adopters of new financial products. So you kind of like zero into younger demographic in any case. And not to mention we were building it ourselves, right? And we were in our 20s at the time, so we wanted to build something that we could use and could appeal to us, and also could appeal to to a broader demographic.
So let me ask you this, because there's always hiccups and there's always problems, but I think it's important that people actually know the truth. So obviously everybody heard about the GameStop situation.
Yeah.
And you spoke about that, but our audience might not have been on those platforms that you've actually articulated what happened. So can you explain, because we actually got caught, not with Robinhood, another brokerage. we won't name, but we got caught with that where we put a put on GameStop.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and the put went crazy. And in one day, we were upwards of
40,000,
500%.
Yeah.
And we tried to sell it, and we couldn't sell it. And then we ended up losing money on it, long story short. So I sympathize with people that couldn't sell their GameStop positions, because it just so happens that we were one of those people.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't Robinhood. It was another.
Well, that's good to hear.
So for a lot of people that, just got into investing, they wasn't sure exactly what happened. Can you just kind of explain what happened when you had to halt trading, I believe, right? You halted selling and buying of GameStop for a day or two?
Just the we had to halt opening positions. So it was any position that sort of increased risk. So for example, since we don't allow shorting, it was you couldn't buy the meme stocks, because if we had allowed shorting, it would be you couldn't open short positions as well. But that's why it was the buy side. And then in options, since you guys mentioned that, opening up options contracts, whether they be on the long side or the short side, was not allowed either. But you could always, throughout the process, you could always close out your existing positions. So we didn't disallow selling a stock if you had it, or selling a put or a call, or
just couldn't
closing
buy it.
out. You couldn't open new positions for the time period that we restricted the trading. And really what it was I call it 5 sigma event. So I think 1 in 3.5 million. I mean, we'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Which was basically you combine social media and the financial markets. The idea of people getting together and banding together all to buy a handful of stocks, GameStop, AMC, and a few others. And these people essentially made the purchasing of the stocks go viral on social media. And so it went viral in social media, but then sort of spilled over into the financial markets, because people would download brokerage apps. Robinhood went to #1 on the App Store during that time period overall, which is very rare for a financial product, because
you're number 15 right now. So that's
in finance, I think. Yeah. This was #1 overall.
So so I'm gonna cut that clip because it gets a little long. If you don't follow Earn Your Leisure, please follow them. Like I've been preaching. If you know me, I've been preaching about following Earn Your Leisure since the pandemic. But essentially what happens was, what I reiterate, was people made a lot of money. Robinhood didn't want to lose money, so they just halted. trading. So the thing about crypto is that doesn't happen. Crypto has other things that happen, but we'll talk about that a little later on securing your crypto. So this goes back to number 2, right? What is decentralization? This is the second thing I could define decentralization as. Distribute responsibility to many parties. So these dots represent people from around the world, right? So let's say in the Robinhood incidents with GameStop, the CEO, he had to make a call. He single-handedly just shut down the whole network. Well, crypto's network is peer-to-peer around the world, 24/7, 24 hours a day, nonstop, country to country, and there's no real way to shut it down. It's nearly impossible to shut it down. There's servers all around the world. There are things called nodes, and we'll talk about that a little later. I'm not going to unload a lot of information on you. I'm just keep it as simple as possible. I want you guys to be able to teach this to your 7-year-old, or if you have kids, where they can understand it. All right. What is decentralization? The people, this is the third thing I could define decentralization as. The people govern the system we use. You are your own bank. I'll repeat, in crypto, you are your own bank. Now, it's like, why would I want to be my own bank? Well, if you try to call your bank up today and say, hey, how much money do you guys have? They're not going to tell you, right? Banks aren't transparent. You don't know how much money's coming in. You don't know how much money's coming out. You don't know, what they're doing with your money. You just know that you give your bank the money, you put in your savings, they give you a really low, gains on it, and they take your money, they give loans, all kinds of stuff. Crypto is completely decentralized, is completely transparent, because everything is done on the blockchain. And we'll talk about and define what a blockchain is later, which is basically like a large ledger. But for now, I'm going to play this clip again, and this is going to show you one reason why, let's say that, the benefits of having a crypto account. This clip is with Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie, if you don't know, he lost his briefcase a while ago. Someone found it, and he actually ran into situations with the government. I'll play the clip so you guys will see it.
Anytime I have an interview or anytime I actually run into anyone, they always say, hey, Ryan, man, I heard about your laptop. Well, that laptop was a whole story in and of itself. And I was working on some music, and I lost the files. So when you work on music, it's not enough to just have the finished record, you need the files. So my laptop went missing. I put up $1 million as a reward for the return of the intellectual property. Because who wants to pay $1 million for a laptop? You could just go to Apple, get one for $2,000. Well, the laptop turned up, long story short. And the gentleman who found the laptop actually sued me to actually retrieve that reward, $1 million. And he actually won in New York court. And the next day, I was on the cover of the New York Post. I sent it to my mom. She said, at least you look nice.
I remember that.
Yeah. I had a nice suit on, right? But the headline was, Rap Weasel. First of all, Rap Weasel. Does that look like me? Rap Weasel must pay $1 million. But the reason why that story is so important is because when you lose a judgment, well, then the federal government or the state government can just come in and freeze your assets. And so upon losing that $1 million lawsuit, they froze $2.3 million in my account. And that was in November of 2012. And that was the moment at which I started to think, man, do I really want a centralized currency to actually be controlled? And I'm talking about they just took double. I only lost $1 million. Why you take 2.3, right? So I said, look, we got to find a different way. And luckily at that time, I'm an astute student of the game. And if you look back, all of this is verified. Look back in June 2013, I put out a tweet, I said, from now on, pay me in Bitcoin, 2013. And what happened was I had a Shopify store, 2013, so I'm early in Shopify. And Bitcoin became the means by which I wanted to be paid, and I still do that to this day. But to give you a case in point, I sold an album, $5. Today it's worth like $700. I sold a hoodie, $47. Today it's worth like $6,000. I sold a couple of meet and greets. Total price, $2,000. Today it's worth like $122,000. And that's just the differentiation of being able to get in early. And I know some of y'all might be thinking like, man, I can't turn the time back to 2013, but I'll tell you right now, even if you buy some Satoshis today, you're still early. But you don't want to be amongst the folks that say, you know what? Today was either just a footnote in the history of my life, or it was a game changer, a life changer. And when we talk about assets, and when we talk about ownership, and we talk about being able to buy fractionally and be in an asset class where there is scarcity, that's what that opportunity in cryptocurrency provides. And so, yeah, 32,000% return. Yeah, when I got into Bitcoin, it was trading at about $122 per coin.
Sorry, that quick kept playing. So let me go to the next slide. So yeah, that was just like Ryan Leslie briefly talking about his experience. Like, all right, the government came in and just seizes assets. That's because banks are central. They're centralized. That's the biggest thing. It's reiterating that if you're in a situation, if all hell breaks loose, your assets, your money could just probably disappear out your bank account. Not saying it can't happen in crypto, but there's layers, there's ways you can protect against that. Enrico wanted to jump in quickly. Enrico, you there?
Yeah, I love this section right here. I wanted to add, one of the things that is so important about having your money in a decentralized cryptocurrency is, let's say you needed to flee your country, whatever country that was in the world. Imagine trying to leave your country with $10 million or even $1 million. At some point that could become very difficult. And so, or if you think about trying to travel with $1 million of gold, it even gets more significant. So with crypto, all you need is to remember 12 words, and to memorize those 12 words, you could even potentially have those tattooed on you, and you could literally move throughout the world from one country to another with $1 billion that you have, that you own, that no government entity could steal from you unless they had access to those 12 seed phrases. So that's one of the things that makes it really revolutionary, because it decreases the cost of defending your money while increasing the cost of someone to getting access to your money. Because if you have cash on you, all they really need to do is be violent, and then they can capture your money. So just wanted to add that to it.
Thanks very much, Enrico. Definitely, that's a way of looking at it. I mean, I know that seems a little far-fetched to some people, like fleeing the country, but pandemic, all kinds of stuff is going on right now. So yeah, what is crypto? We're going to move on we're continuing on with everything for time purposes. What is crypto, right? So this video is going to just one of the best explanations I've seen for like what exactly crypto is, because I know people get kind of confused. And I know you hear crypto, you hear coin, you hear token. Token and coin can be used interchangeably, all right? It's just digital currency, essentially. So I want you guys to pay very close attention to this video. And I'll also when I send out this video, I'll send out all these YouTube links. So if you want to check this out, go back over it, you'll have access to it.
Hi guys. According to Investopedia.com, cryptocurrency is a digital or virtual currency that's secured by cryptography, which means that it's nearly impossible to counterfeit or double spend. A simpler definition is that cryptocurrency is a form of payment that is exchanged for goods and services. Look at it this way. Remember how when you were younger, you'd go to the arcade and you'd give the cashier a certain amount of money and they'd give you a certain number of tokens that you could use to play the arcade games? Well, that's how cryptocurrency works. You exchange real currency for cryptocurrency, which you can use to buy and sell things online in many parts of the world. Cryptocurrency is popular for a number of reasons, but mainly because cryptocurrency is a decentralized network that runs on a peer-to-peer system, meaning that typical or traditional financial institutions like central banks, normal banks, and even governments are not involved in cryptocurrency transactions between one person and another, which means that there are no financial institutions that are monitoring transactions between one person and another with cryptocurrency transactions, meaning that those transactions are faster since they're not going through governments or banks. Also meaning that those transactions are cheaper since you're not paying fees at different points to different financial institutions when you transact with cryptocurrency. And these are the reasons why cryptocurrency is so popular amongst a lot of people. And let's not.
So I think is one of the best explanations of what crypto is and how you can use it. Like I said, decentralized. So we're reiterating that it's decentralized, meaning that, like Enrico said, like this gentleman said, you can be anywhere with your money and use it anywhere around the world. You don't even have to worry about a currency exchange. You don't have to worry about anyone taking money from you or charging you a lot of fees. You can have it protected. And later on, we'll talk about what Enrico said about a phrase. It's called a seed phrase, which is basically your keys to your crypto account. But basically, look at it as digital currency, goods and services. That's what it is, digital currency, goods and services. Keep it very simple. Don't look at it like it's crazy. I know it's people throw around terminology to confuse you guys, but that's essentially what crypto is. Crypto is decentralized. Your money is not held in the bank. You are the bank, right? So there are exchanges like Coinbase where it is centralized, meaning that they do have certain agreements with banks, certain agreements with the IRS to monitor your transactions through Coinbase. Good thing is Coinbase, which is what we'll talk about, like launching, just because it's simple. You guys can do your own research, find your own exchanges, that type of thing. It's really simple to get Coinbase started, and you can take your money off of Coinbase. You can move it to a MetaMask or another wallet, which will explain what a wallet is. And from there, you can access the world of crypto. You can move stuff, you could trade, whatever, right? But for this class, it's just 101. We're not talking about doing exchanges, swaps. We're not talking about all that stuff. We're just getting everyone started. All right, so there's like a brief diagram that I made about crypto. So all right, here you have Tyrone and you have Keisha, right? So this is just to reiterate what the gentleman on the last video said, right? Your exchange. Oh, let me see if I can annotate. Here, you exchange your money, right? And let's look at this treasury as the blockchain, right? This is where, let's say, your money goes. It goes into this digital bucket here, right? You exchange your money, boom, you get coins back. You get your tokens, you get your coins. Then you can access something called dApps, decentralized applications. I'll explain that a little later. And on these dApps, you can play in crypto. You can buy goods and services. The crazy thing about crypto is that now a lot of crypto is being used in the real world, right? One of the biggest things that's going to be major is, the Staples Center will no longer be the Staples Center. It's going to be crypto.com. And people are so obsessed with, I saw some people are so obsessed with like the name, like, oh, that name sucks. Meanwhile, they're missing a whole movement that's about to happen. That the fact that this is going to be called crypto.com. Best believe that they're probably going to be able to allow crypto transactions within the former Staples Center, because crypto.com has their own tangible wallet where you can swipe, you can buy things with it. So for people who are like, hey, I don't understand crypto, it seems like it's only in the digital world. No, it's moving into the real world now, right? So you exchange your money, it goes into a digital treasury. This digital treasury holds your money. This digital treasury is decentralized, meaning that your money's living on basically a whole bunch of different networks. And these networks they just check each other. They make sure that everything's balanced and checks, and it doesn't give a single entity power. You get your coin, then you could access other applications, or you could buy real world things such as NFT paintings, whatever, etc., etc. Another cool thing about crypto is, let's say you have Keisha here. Keisha's like, hey, I need a loan, right? But I don't want to go to the bank. They're going to screen me. They're going to do X, Y, and Z. They're going to look at my credit history, all that. Keisha can go to a crypto application. I think it's called Aave. I think that's the name of it. And basically, Aave, I could go to Aave and say, hey, Aave, I want you to hold $1,000 in your treasury to lend out to people. And Aave's like, cool, we'll give you back 5%, right? Banks usually take about 4.99, and they give you back 1% for holding it in your savings accounts. But in this crypto application, they're like, nah, we'll actually give you back interest for letting us use your money, and we'll keep your money secure. Keisha can go to that same treasury, that same application, and say, hey, I need $1,000 loan for whatever, and she'll get that loan. It's like a real loan. Like, she'll have to pay it back and everything. I'm not going to talk too much about that application just because that's a whole nother lesson. But that's just like, this is to me a simplified version of things you can do in crypto that can influence you in the real world. That makes it very, very accessible. All right. So now we're going to talk about the blockchain. All right. This is very important because this is a terminology that you'll hear being tossed around a lot. All right. You could say blockchain is let's keep it simple, a giant digital ledger that records, or giant digital ledgers that records transactions. Excuse my grammar. Right. So just look at the blockchain as something on the internet that lives on the internet. It's a network of computers that records everything that happens, and people can look at this blockchain to legitimize business transactions. They can legitimize, they can see what's going on. It's very transparent. Your bank, you won't be able to see your bank's ledgers. If you say, hey, let me see your ledger, let me see how much money you're coming in and out, the bank will say, hell no, we're not going to do that. On a blockchain, you can literally access this information, and through accessing this information, you can know what the hell is going on. Like, you can see if the bank's about to run out of money. If Bank of America is about to run out of money, you won't know until it's too late, right? But through the blockchain, you can check all of this information, right? So number 2, developers can create software on these ledgers. I mentioned this early, dApps, decentralized applications, meaning just the same thing. Just think of decentralized. I reiterate, decentralized means that it's not a central entity over these applications. Yes, you have developers, a team of developers that create these things, but they cannot proceed without community vote. In a lot of these applications, you may have heard, like, let's say Ethereum, there are people like saying, hey, all right, we don't like that. We don't like those changes. We don't like what you're doing. Imagine 100,000 people around the world like, nah, we don't like what you're doing, right? Versus, having a boardroom with 7 people. It's a big difference. Okay. So blockchain allows peer-to-peer transactions with no middleman. All right, peer-to-peer transactions. I could send money to Enrico, he can send money to me, and it's going to be recorded. Very simple. That's what the blockchain, let's keep it simple as that so you guys can understand it. The blockchain is permanent. Blockchain has a variety of networks that allows people that just records, it talks to each other. It's like computers all over the world that talks to each other, that does checks and balances, like verifying that transaction is correct, verifying it is true, right? Okay, the blockchain is decentralized. This means it doesn't exist on one central server. It's not one server. It's not my computer, right? If it was centralized, let's say the blockchain existed on my computer, someone steals my computer, we're asked out. It's decentralized. Reiterate, it's decentralized. So crypto is decentralized, blockchain decentralized. It all flows together. Decentralization is the foundation, one of the foundations of crypto. Right. So to reiterate even more, another example. This is my little brother right here, Big Head Blockchain, right? Big Head Blockchain, let's call him that. Imagine you have a little brother like Big Head Blockchain. He follows you around wherever you go, right? But most importantly, he does checks and balances for you. So if I go to Enrico and I say, hey, Enrico, I got this car I'm trying to sell. Are you interested? Enrico's like, you know what? I am, bro. I give you $500 for the car. Okay, cool. What ends up happening is I could send Enrico this money digitally, crypto, right? Through escrow, whatever, however you want to do it. He can check it out. He can look at the car. Boom. He's like, all right, cool. And then I send him, he sends me the money. I send him the car. We make the exchange. My boy right here, little brother, Big Head Blockchain, records everything so it's permanent. Blockchain records the transaction of me giving Enrico the car, and he also records the transaction of Enrico giving me the money, right? So what does that mean? That means if Enrico comes back later on and says, you never paid me, well, I could just say, hey, Big Head Blockchain. He'll say, oh, well, on December 31st, blah, 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 you paid Enrico the car. It's permanent. It's digital. It's permanent. What does this mean for the future? Imagine doing verbal contracts with people, or something it's going to be called smart contracts. But you do contracts with people, and you say, let's do it on the blockchain. People give you a word, right? Let's say people are like, I hire you, I'll pay you $300 Saturday night for working. All right, let's do a smart contract. This is going to live on the blockchain permanently. If they screw you over, it's on the blockchain permanently, right? If they do good business, on the blockchain permanently, and it's transparent. Anyone can see it. This is revolutionary in itself because in the future, the court cases, the miscommunication, the people getting over on other people, entrepreneurs, is going to be minimized because you can say, I only take certain things on the blockchain. All right. So to reiterate, like I said, I have visual representation, I have video representation. This is another video explaining what blockchain technology is. This lady, she explains it to a child, a teenager, and a college student. We'll go all the way up to a college student so you guys can get the different levels. So it's reiterated what it is.
My name is Bettina Warburg. I'm a researcher of transformative technologies and co-founder of Animal Ventures. Today, I've been challenged to explain one concept at 5 levels of increasing complexity. My topic is blockchain technology. Blockchain is a new network, and it's going to help us decentralize trade, allowing us to do a lot of our transactions much more peer-to-peer directly and lower our use of intermediaries like companies or banks maybe. I think today everyone can leave understanding something about blockchain at some level. Do you know what we're going to talk about today? It's called blockchain.
What's blockchain?
That's a really good question. It's actually a way that we can trade. Do you know what trade is?
It's when you take turns doing something. It's when you give up most of what you want, right?
When you give up most of what you want? Well, sometimes that definitely happens for sure. What if I told you that there's a kind of technology that I work on that means you could trade with any kid all over the world?
Really?
Yeah.
If I could trade with any kid, I would trade something I don't like so much.
That's probably a good idea. Maybe somebody else likes it more than you do. So normally, when people trade, they have to go to the store or they have to know the person so that they can get what they asked for. With blockchain, you can make that exact same trade, but you don't need the store and you don't even necessarily need to know the other person. So Ian, do you know what blockchain is?
No.
Have you ever traded or sold anything?
Actually, I'm selling my computer on eBay right now.
That's amazing. What made you decide to trade on eBay?
Well, I mean, I've heard of it and I trust it a lot because they have like all of their guarantees, so I know that I'm gonna get money and the person's gonna get what they want.
So what if I told you that blockchain technology is basically a tool where you can do the exact same thing, but it goes to you and I directly. You wouldn't need an eBay or a brand in between.
That's cool.
And there's a lot of those kinds of middlemen in our society today, right? We have a lot of banks, we have a lot of companies that sort of help us make sure that our trades happen. But if we could guarantee the same trade using technology as sort of like a technological trust, then we wouldn't really need all those middlemen in between.
So how does it work?
It's basically a network of computers that all have the same history of transactions. And so instead of sort of there being one company with one database that holds all the information, the same sort of list is held by all these different people. Like you could have it on your computer. And then it gets validated by everyone. And basically that turns into the next part of the list. So it's sort of constantly updating itself.
So like, how do you make sure that it's secure?
So it uses cryptography, and that helps it basically encode all of the transactions. So you can't really see exactly what happened, but you know it happened because it's like a marker.
So you could kind of like, I don't know, say you trade apples, but you would just see like random letters for it, so you wouldn't be able to like track it, I guess.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So it's kind of this like really big ledger or accounting system for all sorts of things that get traded, but instead of being owned by one company, it's owned by everybody.
That's cool.
Yeah. We're going to talk about blockchain technology. Have you heard of blockchain?
I've heard of the words blockchain, but I'm not sure I know what it is.
So when we were much smaller societies, you and I could trade in our community pretty easily. But as the distance in our trade grew, we ended up inventing institutions, right? If you use Uber or you use Airbnb or you use Amazon even, these are just digital marketplaces and platforms that help us facilitate an exchange of value. But today we actually have a technology that allows us to trade one-to-one but at scale, and it's called blockchain technology. There is some kind of interface for it. You could have an app or you could use your computer to do it. But instead of there being a company in the middle or what's helping you make that transaction is a bunch of software code. And so it's being run by all of these different computers that have like a node. So they're all running the same software and guaranteeing your transactions as they happen.
I mean, I would assume this technology is taking away business or activity from these middlemen.
In some cases, yeah, it is. And a lot of people in the financial industry in particular are looking at it from the banking side of how do we use this technology to trade things like Bitcoin or other tokens that are easier to use instead of today's currency. You know, a lot of people think about blockchain as Bitcoin because it's sort of in the news a lot and it's this new cryptocurrency and it's kind of exciting. But we're actually seeing a lot more use cases for blockchain that aren't around the currency side. They're more around how do you take any asset and be able to trade that using this same technology.
Is there a mechanism for verifying that person A is a legitimate seller or producer of the item?
So today, a lot of people are working on how to create identity structures that leverage blockchains. And one of the tools for doing that is being able to cryptographically sign for a given attribute. So your government could sign that you have a US passport, or a university could sign that you are a currently enrolled student. And you could then dole out that information and control it yourself and be able to show people those certifications on an as-needed basis.
So that's very powerful what you just said. The fact that in the future you won't have to rely on the embassy, or you don't have to look for your birth certificate or your social security card, because you could have it all digitally secure on the blockchain. You could say, oh, here it is right here on the blockchain, and the blockchain is permanent. Right, so this is one of the best parts of the class for anyone who's new to crypto. If you have time to walk through these steps, you can. Don't forget, this is recorded right now, so I could send you this video, you can play it back. And also, if you send me your email, I'll send you this video. I'll send you a list of all these videos so you can watch in your own time, and I'll send you a video that basically explains how to set up your crypto exchanges and whatnot. So this is very simple. I'll give you guys, if you want to walk through it as I go, that's cool. But you'll have access to this video, so no need to do all these steps right now. So set up your crypto account. First steps, baby steps. Very, very simple. Number one, download Coinbase. We'll just start with Coinbase. Once you guys are comfortable with it, you're a little bit more experienced with crypto, you can move to other exchanges. You can do your own research, because that's part of it. Like, I could tell you this information, Enrico could tell you this information on what to do. If you're not practicing, if you're not taking steps to do it, it's like learning a language. If you don't practice, it's not gonna happen. Enrico told me about crypto a long time ago, but it wasn't until I started actively participating that I had a bunch of aha moments, like, oh, this is why he's so passionate about it. This is why it's so important. So just to get you guys started, number one, you download Coinbase. You download it on your phone. You could download it on your computer, your desktop. Number two, Coinbase is a centralized app. So a bank is behind it. So it's a little bit more secure with how they do things. Like, let's say if your money magically disappears, they have protection put in place where they can replace your money, that type of thing. So if you want to solely deal with Coinbase, you can. You can put your money in there. The thing about Coinbase is it's not they have their own wallet system, but if it gets hacked and your money disappears, then they do have certain securities in place where they could say, here's your money back. So that's one reason to sign up for Coinbase. So you provide them, after you sign up, they're going to say, hey, we need to make sure you're a real person. You provide them with, it's your phone number and your personal information verification. Check your email. It'll be in there. It might be in your spam folder or your regular folder. Next step. Coinbase is going to say, hey, provide the reason you want to use Coinbase. It could be any reason. I just put investing, right? Super simple. They just want to make sure that you have a reason behind it. This is a very important step, and I'm going to slow down right here. After you get your Coinbase account set up, I'm not sure if you guys are doing this now, but like I said, you can do this later. Download the Coinbase wallet. Okay? When you download the Coinbase wallet, it's going to provide you with something called a seed phrase. What is a seed phrase? A seed phrase is basically the keys to your wallet. Look at the wallet like a safe. The seed phrase is going to say, these are the words you need to access your safe. If you lose your seed phrase, that's it. Ain't no second chances. You can't call Coinbase and say, hey, what's my seed phrase? They're going to be like, you have to manage that. I reiterate, you are your own bank. Now, let's say if you forget your password, that's something different, right? You have your password to access your account. That's like, yeah, you could do a password reset. Your seed phrase is your keys. You write that down. You make copies. You store that in a lockbox. That is your seed phrase to your crypto. That's what Enrico mentioned earlier. If you have $30,000 in Bitcoin, you travel to Brazil, you travel to Thailand, you want to take out some money, you just put in your seed phrase, boom, you could get your money out. It's very important. They'll provide you with a coin for your Coinbase wallet. They'll provide you with a seed phrase. Do not lose your seed phrase. Write it down. Make a digital copy. There's a thing called NordPass that I use. NordPass has it where it's like a digital safe. I think I pay like I don't know, $40 for the year or something like that, and I could keep digital copies of whatever I need, passwords. Just you gotta, if you lose that, that's it. Like it's no go. Don't ever give out your seed phrase. And we'll talk about this through security too, and later on. Don't give out your seed phrase, like giving the keys to your house. That's it. All right. This is an example of how a seed phrase could look. It's actually less numbers, but this is just an example. A seed phrase is a list of 12 to 23 or 48 words which stores all the information needed to recover your, it says Bitcoin private key, but really your private key to whatever crypto you're using, crypto exchange, crypto wallet. And it's going to look something like this: burst, invent, awesome, grab. Oh, it's going to be random words, right? You write it down in order. You write these words down in order, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to want to do a transaction. Let's say if you want to withdraw money, it's going to say put in your seed phrase. And if you're like, I don't know what my seed phrase is, like it'll suck. You become a millionaire or something like that, or you get $100,000, you can't withdraw the money because you don't know the seed phrase. Write it down. Don't lose it. Don't give it to anyone. Don't tell it to anyone. Don't show it to anyone. Period. Point blank. Even your friends, don't show it. It's your seed phrase. It's like look at it like your social security number. You're just not going to tell that to anyone. Right. After you have your Coinbase set up, you have your Coinbase wallet set up, you have your seed phrase, you go to MetaMask. MetaMask is a wallet. It is the gateway to the land of crypto. One of the gateways. There are multiple gateways, but this is the most common one, right? You can send your money from Coinbase to MetaMask. From MetaMask, you can send it to other places to get other crypto, to buy digital assets, to do this, to do that, to do transactions. MetaMask is decentralized. Coinbase is centralized. Coinbase has a bank backing Coinbase. MetaMask, just developers, right? They just make sure it's operational. MetaMask will give you seed phrase. You write down the seed phrase. You can link your seed phrases up with the Coinbase wallet. That's why it's important. MetaMask might say, hey, what's your seed phrase? Link it up. You link it together, right? That means you can use the same seed phrase for both. You link them together. Whatever you do, do not give out your seed phrase, right? Keep your MetaMask secure. Keep your MetaMask secure, because this is the gateway to crypto. This is where it becomes decentralized. This is where people cannot look at your transactions, where you can keep your money safe, right? You can log into your MetaMask around the world in another country, put in your seed phrase, boom, boom, boom. You have access to your money in another country. No exchange, nothing. Full, complete, 100% value of whatever that coin, token, or dollar is, which is amazing, right? So this is an example of MetaMask, right? Your money, I'm going to annotate here, right? You send your coins to MetaMask. From MetaMask, you can access other exchanges, swaps. Swaps is a place where you could say, hey, I want to get the DJ Clean coin, right? So in order to get the DJ Clean coin, you have to buy one token, right? You send it to your MetaMask. You link your MetaMask to an exchange, and you just exchange that token you bought. It could be Ethereum, right? Let's say you bought Ethereum, which is actual it's a network, right? It has a token. You send it to MetaMask, right? You link your MetaMask to this exchange, and you can exchange Ethereum for the DJ Clean coin, right? So I'm not going to talk about like decentralized apps on Ethereum. That'll be another class, or Enrico and I will probably talk about that a little later. It's very simple. You just send your money, right? You buy a token, you buy a digital currency. Remember the arcade thing, the arcade example? You buy your arcade coin. You just send your arcade coin to MetaMask, right? And then you go log on at SushiSwap or Uniswap, and you just say, hey, I want to exchange this arcade token for this good or service. Very simple once you're doing it. I reiterate later on, when you get used to it, when you get comfortable, you just make sure that you're paying attention to the addresses. There are addresses you send it to. You want to make sure you are correct, because if you're not correct, you could lose that money. So, but it's just paying attention. Is you are your own bank. You're liable, and you're 100% responsible for your money. So certain things come with that. All right. So that's essentially the gist, right? So this is a brief video, just a couple ways you could secure your crypto. There's these things called wallets, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the Fireside chat with Enrico. And you have a hard wallet, cold wallet, that's what they call it. And you have these digital wallets, which Coinbase has. Digital wallets, basically Coinbase holds your money, and on their own network, they have it duplicated, knowing how much money or coins or whatever you're holding. And from there, let's say if it gets hacked and it disappears, Coinbase will say, all right, let's look into our digital network. Oh, we saw that you had $1,000. The $1,000 ended up missing. We'll call our bank that's over us to get you the money. So there's certain ways you can get around that with Coinbase. MetaMask, there's nobody there to call, right? Unless you lose your password or something. Not your seed phrase, your password. No one's a call. You are the bank. You are the bank. That's it. So this is a brief video just talking about crypto wallets explained very shortly.
A San Francisco man has over $300 million worth of Bitcoin, but he forgot his password and can't access it. And he only has 2 more password guesses before he's locked out and loses it forever. If you want to avoid this kind of nightmare, here's my advice on how to store your cryptocurrency safely. When you buy cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, it gets stored in what's called a wallet and has a private key associated with it. The private key is sort of like a password, a long string of numbers and letters that are assigned to your wallet. If you want your coins to stay safe, you need to keep the private key safe. Now there are a few different types of wallets to store your crypto. The easiest way is to store it right on the exchange where you bought it. Exchanges such as Coinbase or Gemini allow you to buy, sell, and manage your crypto right on their platform. With these exchanges, they hold on to your private key. You don't have access to it. That means you need to trust the company to keep it safe, just like you would need to trust any online company with your data. So you may not want to store large amounts on the exchange. There's also the option of going with a financial app that does more than just crypto. Companies like PayPal and Robinhood have added options to buy and sell cryptocurrency. But with these apps, they may leave you stuck doing transactions in their environment. So if you use PayPal, you have to cash out with PayPal. You also don't have access to the private keys. Elon Musk recently tweeted, "Any crypto wallet that won't give you your private keys should be avoided at all costs." That's because you're trusting those precious private keys to a third party. For more control, you can store your coins on your own computer in a digital wallet. You use software to manage it. However, there is some risk of getting hacked and losing your money if the computer is connected to the internet. If you have a large sum of coins, it's best to keep them in what's known as a cold wallet, which means your private keys are stored on a device that's not connected to the internet, like a separate hard drive or thumb drive. Companies like Trezor and Ledger make special drives especially for cryptocurrency wallets. There are extra protections built in the software of these drives. These companies say sensitive information isn't exposed even when it's plugged into your computer. I have here the Trezor One. It's a little device that you plug into a computer via USB. If I want to access my coins, I have to plug it in and then enter a PIN. What I like is that this is a bit of a combination solution, because if I lose the Trezor, I can still access my coins. When you first set up the device, it gives you a bunch of random words known as a recovery seed. This seed is very important and should be written down and kept in a safe place. So if the wallet is lost or broken, I can use the seed to recover my coins. So what happened with that unfortunate man who forgot his password? Well, he stored the private keys to his Bitcoin wallet on a highly encrypted hard drive called IronKey. The drive only allows 10 password guesses before it locks up. It's not a typical hardware wallet designed for crypto, so no PIN, no recovery seed, just 10 password attempts, and then poof, it's gone. I know crypto can be complicated and confusing, so if you're new, just ease yourself into it. Do some research and then pick the method that feels most comfortable to you. For me, this Trezor wallet works great, and I always have that backup recovery seed if needed. So what about you? How do you store your Bitcoin riches?
So yeah, I think there's a good video on just simplifying securing crypto. We'll talk about that a little bit more during the fireside. But you essentially you're your own bank. You don't have people to call you. So it's kind of like basically saying with this type of freedom that decentralization and crypto is allowing, it's also a lot of accountability. Great power comes great responsibility. In crypto, you have a lot of ways to be wealthy. I honestly believe that there are going to be more millionaires in the next 5 years of crypto because of crypto. Regular people, and I think this is a pathway for Black people to receive financial freedom if done right and if secured right. I truly believe that. Every person who's talked to me personally about crypto has been Black, and my first time hearing about crypto was around 2013, about Bitcoin, around 2014. Then after that, I had a brother in technology say, you need to get in crypto. It kind of just blew over my mind. And then I had Enrico last year in the pandemic, like he had a sit down, he had a talk with me. And from there, I was like, you know what? This is the third sign of someone telling me to get in crypto. Let me do that and let me listen. So with that being said, I've been looking forward to this. We have the fireside chat with my bro Enrico Moses. I'm gonna stop sharing. Enrico he's a great guy. I've worked with him. He's a great businessman. Let me see if I can set this up real quick. He's done plenty. He's right now he's super major in the NFT space. I mean, he has multiple NFT projects. He's been involved in the Metaverse way before it was even discussed about on a public level. And I'd like to welcome you guys for Enrico to the stage. This is going to be like a fireside chat, and we'll have Q&A. If there's any questions, we can, figure out and answer. Enrico is the guy to talk about. So I appreciate Enrico for even doing this, because I know he charges money to do this type of thing where he's looking out. He's a part of the Wealth Plays group, and I'm just happy to have him here. Enrico, how's it going, man?
Oh man, feeling blessed. I just love what you're doing here in the community, and I'm happy to support and just help uplift some folks. And hopefully this can be a guide to continuing to build some generational wealth for all the people who get to see it.
For sure, man, for sure. So you've been heavy in the crypto space. Can you tell everyone, I guess, like what's your reasons for getting into crypto? How did you first hear about it, and what sparked your interest into it to like really dive in?
Word. So I've been hearing about crypto for a long time. I started a fashion tech startup in 2011. And because of that, I was inside of the startup space, inside of the tech space. So people were raising money for, different types of cryptocurrency projects, Bitcoin projects. So I was hearing about it, but I'm not necessarily a technical person. I'm more of a product person, marketing. I've been working in the fashion space for many years. And so when all that stuff was coming, I felt like I personally was at a disadvantage because I didn't know any of the technical stuff. What first got me into crypto was actually during the COVID pandemic. I've had some ideas for art because I'm an artist that I've wanted to do for about 8 years. And I finally had the time and the space. So I started doing that art, and one thing led to another, and I started selling my collections. I started selling my pieces, and I started kind of amassing some collectors that were buying a bunch of my pieces. And I make art in a digital way with my iPad. And then I kind of apply some crystals to it. And so I was thinking about how can I protect the value of my collectors, because it's not like I'm painting, I'm making it digitally. So if someone finds my digital art and they print it, that's going to mess up the value of my collectors. So I was just thinking about how I could protect it. And I literally was Googling stuff, and I stumbled into NFTs, and I was like, this is exactly what the fuck I'm looking for. So from there, I just started really diving in and researching what is NFTs, what is Ethereum. I've already heard some really smart people. I'm a big fan of Naval, who started Angel List, and I know I saw him talking about Ethereum. So I was just like, all right, he's not a dumb person. He's actually really intelligent. So that kind of sparked my interest, and I just did more and more research. I started investing heavily into Ethereum at kind of like during the during the pandemic. And while that was going on, Ethereum was at 700. It started rising. So that was also really interesting because I was investing at the time in things like Apple and Tesla, and I had some other like Microsoft. But those gains, it was going from 700 to 1,000 to 1,200. It was just like skyrocketing, and I haven't never personally seen that. So that was also really interesting to see, my money kind of start doubling and tripling. And so from there, I started, learning about like, how am I going to get my NFTs out there? And so I started purchasing some digital real estate because I learned that I could sell some of my NFTs on the digital real estate. So there was this site called cryptovoxels.com. I ended up spending 1.5 ETH, which at the time, I think I spent like 1,500 on that plot.
That was cheap.
And I was putting some of my NFTs up, right? I was like, and I went to sleep one night and I woke up the next night and one of my NFTs was gone. But in my crypto wallet was $500, and someone had bought one of my pieces.
Wow.
So it's crypto voxels.
Oh, crypto voxels. Okay.
Yep, cryptovoxels.com. And so someone bought one of my pieces. I was like, damn, like someone just bought one of my NFTs, and now I got $500 in my wallet, and I don't even know who that person is. I never had a conversation with them, but it was all trustless. And now they own my NFT. They got my NFT in their wallet. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. So I started hitting up my artist friends. Like I hit you up, I started hitting people up. I was like, hey, like, check this out. This is real. I started sending some people some articles. One of the people I hit up was one of my friends, Chimo Du, who recently passed away this year. And so I was telling him about it as a photographer, just like, yo, this is really dope. We started working together. I helped him kind of mint some of his first NFTs. And we were going to officially start working together. And he was just like, yo, I just have to let you know, because we were working together, that I just got diagnosed with cancer. And that was right after he minted his whole collection. So we were just in fight mode, waiting for him to overcome it. And I get a call from another one of my friends, and he lets me know the unfortunate news of Chi passing away. And so just from that moment, the fact that Chi minted his collection, I was just like, what's going to happen? And so for about 2 weeks later, the news got out and he sold every single NFT that he made. And in his wallet, he had about $150,000. And so long story short, I got in contact with his wife. We're starting, we're continuing to work together in releasing some of his NFTs. And I'm starting to work with some other photographers in the NFT space. And we have a website called flashmints.com, where we're releasing photography, hip hop, street photography, NFTs. We're on our second drop. We have 5 different drops coming out within the next month. So that's something that I've been doing. I've also just been personally investing a lot into NFTs. I have a 6-figure plus investment portfolio from me, investing in some of Chi's NFTs, which is now worth about 6 figures alone in my collection that I did into his. And then just being able to buy some of that digital real estate, like that piece of property that I put about 1.5 in, I've been getting like 6 ETH offers, 7 ETH. So that's already at like 40 some thousand, depending on the price of ETH. I've been investing in these digital racehorses, which also earn me cryptocurrency, and just been getting into things that make sense to me. I like to invest in things that have use case, meaning that you could use them, right? A lot of cryptocurrency, people are just trading them. And there might be a meme coin, and the only thing you could do with it is trade it, is like, buy it and sell it and talk about it, which is fun. I think it's fun to talk about Dogecoin and all that stuff. But personally, I like to invest in things that you could put to use, like a digital real estate plot. I can buy it, I can hold it, I can sell it, I can speculate the same way as a token, but I can also build an art gallery in it. I can sell my art in it. It's kind of like a real plot of real estate. I could buy that plot of real estate. I don't have to do anything. I could just wait years and then sell it. But I could also buy that real estate and put a business on it. And that business is making cash flow, and that cash flow could be paying down, the mortgage or whatever the land cost is, or just making me cash flow, earning me passive income every year. So that's what I'm really interested in when it comes to NFTs. I'm managing a couple other projects. I'm consulting on several projects, and I do, one-on-one consulting for people who are getting into the NFT space. So that's something that I've been doing a lot of. And I'm also in the process of starting a crypto fund where people can, invest in things that I believe in, things that have been vetted. And there's actually a vehicle for people to get into some of the things that I've been seeing, because some of the stuff that I've been seeing has been working. A lot of my friends are interested in getting in, but I want to do it all in a legal way, in a way that makes sense for everybody. So for right now, what I typically just do is just tell people, oh, this is what I'm getting into, and you can do your own research and get into it if you want to. But I definitely want to be building out actual fund that people can be allocating some of their capital to, where maybe they don't want to be, studying the next biggest NFT trends or the biggest games that are going on, but they do want to allocate a part of their holdings into some of these new asset classes that are emerging through NFTs and crypto. So that's kind of like, a gist of what I've been doing, what I'm up to. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Man, thanks for that. That's a lot of information, bro.
I know.
So I'm a backtrack a little bit because I know it's a lot of. I think most of the people on here have never even heard of some of the terminology that's used, right? So, like I like to have it where they can have an idea of what it is. So when you say NFT, can you explain what an NFT is?
Yeah, so very basically, an NFT is a non-fungible token. Fungible meaning that you can copy it, right? So non-fungible is something that you can't copy. If you think about digital files, for so long, we haven't really been able to own something digitally. So because if I send Anthony an email with the MP3, he can just send somebody else that. There's nothing that's going to stop him from doing that digitally. So that makes it a fungible file, right? Most digital files are fungible; they can be copied. So a non-fungible fungible token cannot be copied, meaning there's only one unique token. Now, people always make like comments, well, I can download the JPEG. Yes, you can download the JPEG, but you do not own the actual NFT. And NFTs are actually about ownership, because when you own the NFT, you can actually do different things with it. You can obviously you can sell it, right? And you can make profit off of that NFT. You can display that NFT in your digital caster. And there's all types of things that are getting ready to be built out. You can already display your NFTs inside of the metaverse if you own it. Soon they're going to have verifications on Twitter for your NFTs. So you'll be able to say, I officially own this. And they're going to verify it on the blockchain. So there's many things. There's also tokenization and gating. So you owning an NFT could essentially be your ticket and get you access into some place in the metaverse. So there's many things that NFTs can actually become. And one of the things that I've recently heard that actually is kind of true is that an NFT has a wide spectrum of what it can be, right? NFT can be a flat piece of art. NFT can be a video. It could be a MP3. It could also literally be a digital plot, right? It could be, I own a racetrack. I own an NFT racetrack that I get dividends when the race cars race on my track, right? And so I would say an NFT it can be so many things, like a website, right? Like a website could be Netflix, but it could also be Uber, or it could be Zoom. You see what I'm saying? So there's so many different things a website can be. We're really at the very, very beginning stages of what an NFT is. An NFT could be your your mortgage, you know, your lease could be an NFT. So your passport could be an NFT. So there's so many things that I think will eventually be NFTs. Because if you think about it, your driver's license is an NFT, or you know, it's just not tokenized, but it's non-fungible, right? It's like you can't just be making a bunch of passports, right? So that's, if you think about, like, there's all these things that we want to be able to make sure that you do only have one of, or if you do have two of them, they're at least they're authenticated, right? So you might have two passports, but they're both going to be authenticated. So, you know, that's kind of the overarching explanation to what a NFT is.
Man, thanks for that explanation. Because there's what's crazy is we have people online right now who are into real estate, and when I told them about the metaverse and NFTs, it's like, it sounds crazy, you know, like if you're not doing it, it sounds like, it's like, this sounds kind of scary almost to some people, because it's like, what do you mean digital real estate? What do you mean you're getting dividends from a digital racetrack? You know, like, that sounds far-fetched. But the crazy thing I want everyone to know that's on this call is you're super early to the party. This isn't even like, was it less than 1% of the world is engaging in crypto? Less than 1%. So the earlier you get into like participating and buying NFTs and becoming a part of communities investing, it's going to be like crazy dividends, crazy like compound interest in the future, crazy gains people can make. One thing that you mentioned, I have a couple of things that you said, and I'm gonna leave it open floor so people can ask questions to you. Minted, right? Can you explain what minted means to everyone?
Yeah, so mint is the creation of an NFT. So it's kind of like if you think about minting a coin, right? When you mint a coin, if any of y'all have like gone to like those theme parks and they got those machines, you put in a little penny, you put in a quarter, and you start winding it, and it spits it out, and you get your own little minted coin, right? So that's what it means to mint. You're actually like imprinting it, you're imprinting it onto the blockchain, and you're letting people know that it's created. You're letting people know who owns it. You're letting people know how much you're charging it, you know, if they're going to buy it. And so, you know, you mint the NFT, and then it's like, okay, this is what the NFT is. This is the metadata behind the NFT. So it lets you know what the NFT is. Maybe the NFT has some, maybe it has some rarity to it. Maybe it's a common NFT. Maybe it's a super rare NFT, and you can learn that within the metadata, right? Which can be added to the NFT. Yeah, so there's all types of things that it can be.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, and things like the metaverse. If anyone has any questions, I'll leave that up to you guys to ask Enrico. I mean, that's a whole thing. That could be a whole conversation about the metaverse and digital real estate. So I'm gonna just leave it open floor. If anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand and I'll just call on you just to keep it orderly. If you don't want to talk, you could just drop a question in the chat. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'll ask Enrico another question. Anybody? Jaden? Okay.
Hey, how's it going? I got a question.
Hey.
Thanks, you guys, for your time and sharing the information. Appreciate that. My question is more so, how do you approach investing on a routine basis? So, like, if you're allocating, $500 a month, or keep it simple, $100 a month in the crypto space, how are you diversifying? Sorry, I got kids still waiting. How are you diversifying, what you're investing on a routinely basis? Like, is it 10% towards short-term plays, 40% towards long-term plays, and then the difference you split in NFTs? Like, how are you approaching that in terms of the strategy?
That's a great question. I like to look at the three buckets of short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So the long-term being a lot more stable, I look at those as like Bitcoin and Ethereum plays, right? So those are more of like really long-term, more stable in the long term, price appreciation. Medium, it's like some of the newer tokens that have proven themselves, but they're still like newer on the block, right? So what might that be? That might be like a link, the chain. That might be like an Aave. That might be like something like even like the Rari token from Rarible. That might be like a Mana, right? So you have like a decentralized play that maybe that might play out. I don't know, right? So those are some of the medium, and then you got some of like the high risk, higher risk, which are some of my favorites because that's where all the gains are, right? And so I think that if you're doing your research, and I'm not a gambling person. I like to really invest in things that make sense to me. But what I do is I find like bits and pieces of valuable information that are dispersed through people who are building things. And then I like to get into those projects early, right? So like that might be like if you were in the startup space and you were working with, you're just talking to different people and they're like, oh, I'm using this company to do my books. I'm using this company to do our computing, our cloud computing. Then you're like, oh, like what's that company? And so I'm like investing in the hammers and the tools that are being used to build the ecosystem. But still some of those are so early that they're high risk, right? Because they might not be on Coinbase. They're not on a lot of the centralized exchanges yet. There's not even a lot of marketing around it yet. They might not have done any announcements yet, but that's where I've gotten some of my best gains. And now, even though they were short term, now some of them have turned out to become even better than some of my long-term plays. Like Gala was one of those plays that I got into very early. And now the price of what I invested in has appreciated higher per Bitcoin. And so some of the plays that you can get into early, as long as you're doing your research, even though it's early, you can reduce some of the risk. It's like, I don't like to get into the meme coins and all. I have, but I think those are the very, very high risk things that I'm just not as interested in personally. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for that perspective.
Definitely. Does anyone else have any questions to ask Enrico? Anyone? I'll ask a question based off someone who I know is here. My little godbrother's here, Jaden, right? He goes to Hampton University, and he's really interested into getting into NFTs. Really super interested. So I guess what would be a playbook or a generalized steps you would recommend for him to just get into the space, and how, since he's on college, right, how to navigate that ecosystem he's in? Because I mean, he's ahead of us, honestly. Like, he has the access to the information, and he's hungry to know how to do these things, but he's in the perfect space where he could just do this shit all day, so I guess what would be like some good stepping stones for him to get into that?
Yeah, at his age, what he has at his fingertips is time, right? And he's hungry. So I would suggest that he takes that time, that resource of time, and he goes into Discord, and he goes into Discord and he goes into Twitter, because the NFT world lives on Discord and Twitter. So if he spends his time on there and he's really focused, and then he gets into some NFT projects into Discord, he could just show up and say, hey, y'all, like, I love this project. Let me know if I could do anything to support it. I'm down to help promote it. I'm down to work for NFTs. So what he could do is start building his building his portfolio of NFTs just by helping to do all these things. Like, there's all types of really valuable skills that are needed that a lot of young people can do, like managing a Discord, being a moderator of a Discord, building Discords. So, he could go on YouTube and you know, Google, YouTube, how do I build out a custom Discord server? People are paying thousands of dollars for that right now, because even though they could do it, a lot of people just don't want to do it. They're like, I'll just pay a college kid to do this, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to spend the 5-10 hours, whatever it's going to take to do it. And they got the money. A lot of people in NFT space got the money. So I would just say start getting into those worlds, because there's a lot of money flowing around. I just personally paid somebody to build out my metaverse space, maybe like $600-700. So if you think about it, like he got paid $750, I think, to build out like almost like a Minecraft, like you're building out a Minecraft spot, you know. And so that's like one of the things that he could be learning. He could be in the Crypto Voxel Discord, and that dude, he don't own no properties. He's doing the same thing that your nephew would be doing. He was just out there, and I put it in the Discord. I was like, anybody know how to build, you know, stuff up? I'm paying 0.15 ETH. Dude jumped into my DMs and was like, what's good? I'm here. I sent him half of that shit up front. So that's the thing, trustless. Like, I sent him half the money up front. I said, when you finish, I'll send you the rest. And he got busy. And it's just like, you know, he could take that money, he could exchange it for cash, he could do whatever he wants with it. He could sit there, the price could appreciate, you know. And so that's what I would suggest, is just be valuable, you know, learn some valuable skills, learn how to navigate Twitter. That's another thing. Even just building out a Twitter is valuable. Every single NFT project needs a Twitter. They need a Discord. So if you know how to build those, you could be charging $200-300. I'll build it out for you. You know, I'll manage it for $500 a month or something. Like, all that stuff is needed right now. And through that, he can earn money. And then he can learn too.
That's a crazy business you just came up with. Managing, literally, like, because what's crazy is, like, he's in college. All you got is class and time. Literally, you make like $6,000 a month doing that. Building out
Big
Twitter,
facts.
building out Discords, just learn it.
Oh yeah.
Now you're making
And don't
$6,000.
let him get some hot NFTs. He might mess around and catch a 6-figure payday quick. And that's
Yeah.
happening to a lot of people.
Yeah, that happened, you know. Like, that's what's you know, what's crazy about this thing. Like, in a year, your net worth can change. In 2-3 years, like, it's crazy. And this is new. That's what I want everyone to know. This is not a thing yeah, we heard about it in 2013, but the rest of the world hasn't caught up yet. By the time the rest of the world catch up, it's going to be kind of late. Like, the powers that be are already going to have systems put in place to just kind of like box everybody in. But right now, it's like the wild, wild west. It's open market. And I think, like Enrico told me, he said, hey, I really think this is a way you can build generational wealth. Not only generational wealth, but you can build wealth doing what you like to do, which is music. So yeah. So, you know, we just reached our time limit. Does anyone else have any other questions? Going once.
Metaverse. My bad. One more question. The metaverse. Anthony, you came to me a couple months ago talking about this stuff, and I was blown away. I was like, "You're lying. You're lying. There's no way people are buying digital land." How early are we in that space, and where can we, like, what's a good entry point into that, you know, digital real estate space?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We're very, very, very early. I don't even know how to truly value the digital land that I have. All I know is that if you look at land in the real world and you ask, like, why is land valuable? Like, why is land in LA valuable? I just did that exercise in New York. I said, how much you think this building's worth, this land right here, due was like a couple $1 billion. It really blew my mind because it's true. And so when you think about the metaverse and what's possible, so first I'll say this about the metaverse. Instagram is the first metaverse. And the reason I say that is because if I take a picture of myself on Instagram with my outfit, more people are going to see me with that outfit than people are going to see me in the real life. So So we're already starting to that's already showing you that this is a metaverse. That's why the sneaker app does the little goddamn thing on Instagram, because they're moving the culture of sneakers to the digital realm. You see what I'm saying? Because that's a way to now flex, like, oh, I got the sneakers, but most people ain't even seeing you in the sneakers anymore. Like we're living a lot more in this digital space, right? And so that's like the first version of the metaverse, right? Is this Instagram. And so in a couple years, like right now we're doing this on Zoom, but a couple years we're going to be in VR, we're going to be in a room together, and it's going to feel very hyper realistic. Now, where is that room going to be? Is it going to be, maybe it's a free metaverse, maybe it's a Zoom room, but maybe it's my room that I've built out, that I've decorated, that's fly, you know what I mean? That has a certain feel to it, right? That I own. You see what I'm saying? And maybe if we go outside of that space, there's a bunch of stuff cracking because we're in this metaverse, right? So how valuable is that? I think is based on how many people want to be there. It's based on a lot of factors, right? What can you do inside of that metaverse? Which is like LA, right? LA property is worth more than property in Idaho. Why? Because there's more people here. There's more things you could do. There's more ways to monetize that property. So that makes the value of it. So if you think about value of property in the metaverse, then you think about the value of how can you monetize it, And so with digital properties, like I own some properties that you can create games on top of. You can monetize those games. So the value of the property is going to be tied to the ability to monetize on top of those properties. I just bought a NFT planet that is attached to this game, and the planet has resources that people can mine. So I think we're actually really, really early when it comes to digital real estate, but not all digital real estate is built the same, just like not all real estate is built the same, right? Idaho and LA is very different. So I think you're very early, but it's hard to say what's going to be what now. I think you just have to stay up and trust your intuition. I think things that have use case are going to be valuable, and I will follow that. I'm a big fan of the sandbox, but it's kind of gotten, they're at it's starting to be, I think, 3 ETH for a plot, and that I think that's around 15,000. There's a new one that's coming out that's really early. I forgot what it's called right now, but I'll send it to Anthony. But there's new ones coming up that I think you can get in on that are still like in the $1,000-$2,000 range.
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of questions in the chat, and then after these questions, if there aren't any more, we're going to cut it just to for time. All right, from Rhonda, can the government regulate cryptocurrency?
It's a good question. It's kind of like a answer is yes and no, to be honest. The government can do a lot of things. What they cannot do is control a decentralized, they can't control a decentralized organization. They can control how violent they are if you hold it. So that's one of the ways they could potentially regulate it. So they can't stop it from happening. They can't stop you from getting access to the Bitcoin or the Ethereum. But what they can say is, if you own Bitcoin, we're going to kill you. Like, they could say that. And then, then that's a way of regulating it. I don't think they're going to do that. But what country does that for drugs? Like, there's countries that do stuff like that. So it's not like that's unheard of. When they cannot regulate, they can't stop it. Let's just say that the biggest governments in the world cannot stop Bitcoin or Ethereum from running. It's too decentralized.
Yeah, and
it'd be impossible for them to stop it.
I think a good series to watch would be Startup on Netflix. Like, it kind of, now granted, it has a lot of drama and like drugs and that whole thing, but the way they approach crypto and decentralization is, I think they explain it pretty well, like what it can do. So if you want to And then they have episodes where the government steps in, like Enrico says, but the government tries to shut it down. They can't. So what they start doing, going after the people who controls these things, or going after the developers, or going after that. I don't think we're there yet, but in the next 10 years probably. All right.
But crypto will be regulated. I will say that it will be regulated, and that's actually a good thing. It's like it does need to be regulated because that's what Coinbase is. Coinbase is regulated, and they're starting to regulate Bitcoin so that banks can invest in it. It's not a bad thing for it to be regulated. Just how are they going to regulate it is the question we always got to be asking.
For sure. For sure. No problem, Rhonda. No problem. All right. From Khalik, it says, I have an NFT question. I'm a visual artist. Also, is OpenSea the best platform to create an NFT?
I wouldn't necessarily say best, but that's just because I don't like those type of words. It might be the best for you. It might not be the best for somebody else. I like OpenSea personally. OpenSea is not the best platform to get found on because it's so large. There's better curated platforms like Super Rare and Foundation. There's Rarible. So there's a lot of different options. I like OpenSea because it's a very cost-effective way to do it. Everybody trusts OpenSea. Everybody uses OpenSea. But from like a promotional and marketing standpoint, it's probably one of the worst. But then, there's other things that are good. It's like pros and cons. So I couldn't just say it's the best, but I'll just say like it's one of the best. It's one of the best options. It's something that as an artist you should weigh all your options, and I think OpenSea should be on that list.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out. Rico, man, thank you so much. You didn't have to do this, man, but I know you took time out your day. And you're
all good, man. I'm really here to uplift our community, so I really hope it helps. And
sure,
we should all just be thinking about these things. Whether or not y'all invest in the first time, it's cool, but just don't allow yourself to be afraid and not take any action. I told a friend of mine, not like less than a year ago, I was like, you should invest in some crypto. And he was just like, I'm going to invest later. He's like, I don't really have money to invest in that right now. And I looked at him straight up. I was like, you don't have $100. And he smoked a lot of weed and shit. I looked at him straight like, you don't have $100. And he was like, and then he let me know. He's like, I bought $500 of Ethereum. That 500 went to 1,000. He ended up buying some digital real estate. He ended up buying 4 NFTs from my friend who passed away. Those NFTs are worth about 6 figures now. And so he went from not wanting to even put in $100 to less than a year having a collection worth 6 figures. And so I just push anybody that might be afraid or scared or hesitant, saying you don't have the money. You could start with $20, get a Coinbase, put $20 in, just see what it feels like, get a MetaMask. Don't be afraid. Take it seriously, but definitely this is something to be taken seriously. So
for sure,
had to throw that out there.
Sorry to do this, Enrico. One last question. As a fashion designer, what NFTs can I make?
Look up Meta Factory. Believe it's called the Meta Factory. It's a fashion NFT like DAO. Just look up everything they're doing. They're like the most advanced NFT clothing brand. And then you can also look up Elite, which is it's like, hold on one second. Let me just look it up.
For sure. Yeah, like Enrico said, guys, like this is one of those things you're just gonna have to just do it to kind of see what the potential is, and you don't have to put in a lot of money. That's the beautiful thing of like crypto. It's not like stocks where you have to buy the whole stock. You could buy fractional, so you could just say, I'm going to only buy $5 of Bitcoin. I'm only going to buy $100 of this, $100 or $20 of that, and you could just sit and watch it. Your $20 could literally turn to 1,000 in crypto. It's crazy.
Look up Elite, which is spelled the number 1337. That's like it's an NFT clothing line. Whale Shark is the founder and investor, and they're doing a bunch of innovative stuff too behind gaming. So they have like a gaming clothing line, but they also do their clothing with NFTs. So just learn from those two, MetaFactory and Elite, and you can see what some of the people are doing in the fashion space, and they're both doing big things.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'm closing out the questions.
Later, y'all.
Thank you,
Good night.
Enrico.
Thank you, Anthony. Peace and love, y'all.
All right, peace, brother.